This is going to be one of, if not the most important video I make. And that's because Pompo the Cinephile is an important movie. I went into reading Pompo expecting a fun, cutesy romp about making movies, and the manga isn't really that. But something about it still left this spark in me. And then I watched the movie, and everything I thought about the manga was completely blown out of the water. That spark becoming this fiery passion that led me to make this video. I won't lie and say the movie changed my life specifically, but I firmly believe it has the power to. The themes of this story will resonate with so many people, and I want to share that message with the world. The movie is an adaptation of just the first volume of Pompo, but when the manga ends its main plot, the movie is only halfway through, almost exactly. I'm gonna break this video into two halves. The first talking about Pompo through the lens of the manga, with the second telling you the story behind Pompo the movie. Partly because the manga is spoiler safe from the scenes that make the movie so special, more so because I think that understanding Pompo best sets up the movie and the story behind it, and most of all, because that story is the most important part of this video. And if you only feel like you have a little bit of time to spare, or don't want to sit through this entire thing, then that's okay. I'd rather you skip ahead to that part of the video than miss out on it. There's chapters to this video and a timestamp on screen. The thing to know about Pompo the Cinephile is that Pompo isn't the main character. In fact, I wouldn't even call her a cinephile, at least not in the same connotation that the word usually comes with. Both of those roles fall to Gene Finney, her personal assistant. He's what I imagine when I think of the word cinephile. Someone who's head over heels with all things film, has a deep knowledge of movies from classics to modern, gets engrossed in the nitty-gritty of filmmaking, and Pompo is not that. She doesn't much care for the artistry and crafting of movies, or else she'd be the director, not the producer. Nor does she truly love all things film like Gene, detesting almost every movie over 90 minutes. Pompo the Cinephile is a catchy English title, and I wouldn't want it any other way. But Eiga Daisuki Pompo-san. The Japanese title directly translated simply reads, Pompo loves movies. And that to me speaks more about her character. Despite not being a connoted cinephile or even the main character, the manga is at its best when read as Pompo's story. And it was when I did that, everything clicked. So let's ask the question, what does Pompo love about movies? Pompo is a producer. After the screening of her new movie Marine, she says she wants the audience to lose themselves in the ocean shots, the bikini crowds, and Mystia, because to Pompo, the purpose of a film is to make the talent look good. In the words of her grandfather, J.D. Peterson, quote, part of a producer's job is fitting the right people to the right roles. If Pompo has agreed to keep you at her side, then I do believe it means she sees something in you. One of the only things she says directly on the topic of loving movies is when reminiscing watching movies with Peterson. That, in the rare occasion they'd watch a 90-minute movie, it felt like discovering an oasis in a Sahara. But that's not all, because there are, to my understanding, only two things that can be considered exclusive to the manga. Most importantly of which are the characters' top 3 movies and the accompanying columns. These columns would go on to describe how these 3 real-life movies embody their respective characters. It's easy to see that in someone like Martin Braddock, whose 3 favorite movies all star the person he's inspired by, Marlon Brando. Or Mistia's being all Isabelle Adjani films, who, in her own words, is everything she aspires to be. And in the case of Pompo, Whiplash, Death Proof, and Frankenweenie are all described as director-focused. Each is an example of a passionate film buff exploring their professional roots. Not producer-focused, director. so she's not embodied by these people in their role, but instead by their passion. Death Proof, a B-movie born out of Quentin Tarantino's love for the genre. Frankenweenie, despite originating as a live-action short, was brought to life in tedious stop-motion animation, because the creepy yet oh-so-charming feeling is what Tim Burton was known for. And most importantly, Whiplash. Inspired by Damien Chazelle's own aspirations to be a jazz drummer, it tells the story of Andrew dedicating his college life to becoming a drummer, his relationship with his insane director, and the risks he's willing to take in pursuit of that dream. That's a lot of information all at once, but these things lay the groundwork for understanding what Pompo loves about movies. Pompo loves movie magic. And the magic of movies is their ability to instill a feeling in the audience. Whenever we see Pompo pitching a movie, it's never about exploring a nuanced character or tackling a specific concept. Just raw, unadulterated inspiration in the potential of an idea. And it's that passion that carries her conversations with Corvette. Just like her 3 favorite movies, it's about passion, capturing a feeling, and the wholehearted pursuit of bringing that passion to life. That is movie magic. And as a producer, Pompo is taking that a step beyond. The adaptation does a montage of Misty and Natalie, which is a shame because in doing so, they cut a really telling piece of dialogue, in which Misty reveals that the apartment she's staying in isn't even her own. It's Pompo's. And she's letting her stay there rent-free so that she can save up to one day open her own production studio. Pompo isn't just sharing movie magic with the audience, but with the people around her, seeing their potential and taking a chance to help them in the pursuit of realizing it. I was perplexed when I finished the manga, because just when it felt like we were finally diving into movie making, it ended. Said movie making only accounting for about a third of the manga's runtime. Read as a story about Gene getting a chance to direct his first movie, it's a good story. But reading it as Pompo, seeing the passion of Gene and Natalie, and taking the risk to fulfill their dreams, turns this good story into a beautiful one. There's gonna be a bigger call to action later in this video, and I don't want that to feel muddied by my own self-interest, so I'm gonna say this now. Success on YouTube lives and dies in audience engagement, and so if you feel like you see any potential in me, maybe consider liking, subscribing, and even leaving a comment. Unlike Pompo, it's zero risk, and you may not realize it, but what's only a few clicks of a button for you is make or break for me. But regardless, thank you for at least giving me the time of your day. Let's get back to Pompo. It's hard to talk about what makes the movie special without just talking about the different scenes directly, and I don't want to do that. Instead, I want you to know that the theme of giving movie magic, seeing potential, being inspired, and taking a chance for that passion is something that the movie embodies in its entirety. Not just in the context of the movie, but in its entirety. Director Takayuki Hirao has been very open in interviews about the fact that he used Gene as a self-insert, and you will see that clear as day in the second half. So by retelling the story of how Pompo became a movie, you'll come to understand a lot of the thematic weight without actually having to talk about it directly, as well as hearing an honest-to-God inspirational story about pursuing your dreams and what it can mean to give someone movie magic. Massive shout out to Tai Tai, TNHR, and either Existentia or Jitsuzon of Den Feminico Game Magazine for putting together this interview where the bulk of this information comes from. That article, as well as any other, can be found in the description. Fair warning though, most of them are in Japanese. Shogo Sugatani works at Production Good Book, an animation studio, where they describe their role as design projects and short manga used in proposals. Pompo the Cinephile was originally in one of these proposals, sometime around May 2015. Despite that project ultimately being shelved, Sugatani still saw potential in the character, and after many failed attempts to get the manga in a magazine, would post it free online on Pixiv, where it would garner a following, bolstered even further when large creators like Godzilla artist Yuji Kaida would promote the work. Our story then jumps to Yusuke Tomizawa. Anywhere you look, Tomizawa is not accredited for this movie. In fact, even in the credits of Pompo, you'll only find him right here at the end, under special thanks. But he's arguably the most important person in this story. Tomizawa was the producer for the video game God Eater at Bandai Namco, where he would meet Takayuki Hirao. At the time, he was working at Ufotable and did the opening animation for God Eater, followed by its anime adaptation in 2015. However, the God Eater adaptation would face a lot of hardships, Tomizawa referring to Hirao as very particular, taking on scripting, storyboarding, sound, and directing all by himself. This workload leading to the production falling well behind schedule, with Hirao himself recounting troubles with finding a theme for the anime. After a middling reception, Hirao would leave Ufotable. While it's not directly said, it's certainly my interpretation that the two events are connected. For Tomizawa's part, he would reflect on the failure of the anime and his role, saying, as a producer, it's important to match people with the right planning. Sound familiar? In all his thinking, though, one thing would remain clear. I want to make another video work with Mr. Hirao. The two stayed well connected, as Hirao would go on to work as a freelancer, going to things like a preview for Your Name together, where producer Genki Kawamura's name would stick out to Hirao, who followed up by asking Tomizawa if he wanted to be his producer. And the answer wasn't no. He wanted the opportunity to work together with him, but having just become the producer for the Tales series of video games, it wasn't an easy task. But that doesn't mean he gave up on the potential he saw in Hirao, and about a year later, he would finally find the right inspiration. As soon as he read Eiga Daisuki Pompo-san on Pixiv, he knew that this was the project they had been looking for. Hirao, even in his freelance, was very particular about finding themes that worked for him. And I wonder if Tomizawa and him would ever find their next project if Sugatani had let Pompo be shelved instead of seeing the potential it had. And if they had given up after the magazines had turned them down instead of posting Pompo online, not for any monetary gain, but a simple desire to share their passion with others. And if people like Yuji Kaida hadn't seen that same potential and supported it. Normally, this is the part of the story where they would onboard the likes of a production studio and investors to then pitch the idea to the original author. However, fearful that the rights for production had already been given away, Tomizawa would go to Osaka to meet with Production Goodbook, his entire pitch being, I have the only director who is perfect for this work. Bear in mind, Tomizawa is based in Tokyo. Production Goodbook is in Osaka, meaning Tomizawa took an hour and 15-minute flight just to say, I have the perfect director. A ballsy move, to say the least. But he saw the potential in Pompo, and he knew the passion of Hirao, and he was willing to take the chance. And Production Goodbook would respond in kind, saying, we've received over 10 offers to make Pompo into a book, but you were the first to talk about a movie. If you were able to make a book, which publisher would you go with? As a producer, Tomizawa understood the real question being asked. What kind of crew can you put together, and the importance of it? To which he simply said, I'm thinking of going back to Tokyo. I'll definitely make the best group. Remember that promise. The best. When I think of the best, I think of people who are well established and have resumes to back them up, but that's not what they do. Production would be given to a friend of Hirao's from his Madhouse days, Ryoichiro Matsuo, who had just started his brand new studio, Studio Clap. who at the time had no works yet. The lead roles of Jean and Natalie were given to Hiroya Shimizu and Rinka Otani respectively, both brand new voice actors who they, quote, wanted to develop via their work on the project. Even going as far as to work with 3 virtual singers signed to Kamatsubaki Studio, a YouTube music label whose mission statement is to change the world a little with music and stories, create the most heterogeneous and newest virtual and real borderless potential. While I have nothing that says concretely when they joined, as an organization, they launched in 2019, so they either didn't exist or were certainly not a well-known group, but one brimming with passion and potential. And no one embodies that more than Ciel, who made her full debut with Maro Ookete, the main theme for Pompo the Cinephile, after being specifically picked by Hirao, which is just so awe-inspiring. Tomizawa promised the best, and what they brought together was a load of new talent, and I can't help but think of the line from the movie, "You guys only assess potential looking at past figures, so you can't see the essence." Assessing potential means looking to the future. They were evaluating their dreams. I don't want to paint Hirao in a bad light at all, because even at this point he's already had some big hits under his belt. But it's clear to me at this point in his career he was grappling with a desire to make something special, something that would instill a feeling in the audience. And Tomizawa, rather than looking at his past and assessing his failures, saw him for the dream he had in him and wanted to invest in it. It's that same investing in dreams ideology that brought on Studio Clap, Hiroya Shimizu, and Ciel, and it's a message that the movie wears with pride. The manga is idyllic. Pompo writes a tailored role for Natalie, gives Jean the director's chair, and their dreams come true. And I love that the movie still captures that idyllicism and optimism in that first half, because the second half weaponizes that simplistic naivete to contrast it with hardships. It's brilliant and speaks to the struggles of the creative process and taking a chance to fully realize your dream. Throw away what I said about the manga. The movie is very much about Jean, but the theme of movie magic, instilling inspiration in others, and taking a risk in the wholehearted pursuit of your passion is the core of the movie. And Hirao embodied that message in production because, damn it, he had someone who did the same for him, and it all paid off. The movie they made being absolutely beautiful on all fronts, from the music to the voice acting to the animation. If that story made you feel anything, then watch Pompo the Cinephile. Much like the character of Pompo, don't let the childlike appearance of this movie dissuade you, because I believe that Pompo the Cinephile is to anime what Soul was for Western animation. I have no doubt that kids will enjoy this movie as a fun look at movie making, but no matter who you are or where you are in life, there's something in this movie that will speak to you. I will get emotional during movies, but I'm not really one to cry. Alan's climactic moment in this movie had me in tears. In an interview with Ciel, she said, "It is my wish that this film and message reach as many people as possible, including that someone just like me who is surely out there somewhere." And that's my wish too. This is the call to action. Pompo the Cinephile is available June 28th digitally and DVD Blu-ray July 12th. Watch Pompo the Cinephile. If you can afford it, buy Pompo the Cinephile. Not only do I think the movie as a product is worth buying, but I think the passion and potential of the people involved, especially all the new talent like Studio Clap, Hiroya Shimizu, Rinka Otani, and the artists at Kamitsubaki deserve more recognition. And the reality of the world is that the financial success of this movie can directly influence how many opportunities these people are afforded in the future. I almost didn't know this movie even existed because the marketing just went right past me, and I don't want that to be Pompo's silver bullet. So please, most important of all, get the internet talking about Pompo the Cinephile. The best way you can make that happen is just by liking this video, commenting, maybe sharing it directly with people you know, and then just praying to God that YouTube puts it on people's homepages. If you want to go a step further, then talk about Pompo online. Talk about it with your friends. Tell them the story of Hirao and Tomizawa. Tell them it's about making fun movies and an insight to that. Share the insert songs by Ciel, Ciel, and Kafu. Even just tweet out a picture of the poster. One of the most powerful moments is when the world rallies together to make a dream come true, inspired by the passion behind it. I don't think any one person thought that they alone were making it happen, but that they were willing to take a chance for it. And I hope you do the same with Pompo. We want to make a movie that can give dreams to people that have nothing. That's a line that's gonna stick with me for a while. Because to me, that movie is Pompo. The core message being about how movies can inspire people, cultivating passion, and the wholehearted pursuit of your dreams. Pompo the Cinephile isn't about making movie magic. Pompo the Cinephile is movie magic. Thank you.